Introducing Ida Lupino's Not Wanted, a 1949 film starring Sally Forrest, Leo Penn, and Keith Purcell. Not Wanted uses the narrative of premarital pregnancy and adoption to reflect post-war anxieties around femininity, morality, and the changing roles of women. The film is historically significant because it represents a shift in Hollywood's handling of taboo subjects just before the loosening of the production code, and it mirrors cultural attitudes towards women's sexuality, responsibility, and the motherhood in the aftermath of World War II.
My baby! Give me my baby!
But he's mine. He's my baby.
So, how does the film reflect post-war anxieties about unwed pregnancy and adoption? After World War II, American society urged women to trade their wartime independence for domesticity. The cultural expectations were clear. Get married, have children, and then support your husband. But what happened to women who didn't or couldn't follow those expectations? Premarital sex and pregnancy were deeply taboo, and unwed mothers were often hidden away, shamed, or forced to give up their babies. Adoption rates soared as families, religious institutions, and state agencies sought to solve what was seen as a moral crisis. Now, at the time, the production code was strictly limited what Hollywood films could depict. Topics like pregnancy out of wedlock had to be handled with extreme caution, or not at all. Now, in the film, Sally Kelton, who is a teenager, falls for a charming musician.
What are you doing tonight?
Nothing much. Why?
You want to meet me after I get through here? Grab a bite somewhere, say about 11:30?
Fine.
Okay.
Nice kid.
Sure.
And when he leaves, she finds herself alone and pregnant. Now, the film got around the production code by never showing the act itself or even saying the word pregnancy, but the consequences are very clear.
Well, you're going to have a baby.
What?
Well, now, child, that's nothing to worry about. Babies are born every 11 seconds, night and day. You'll be fine. Now, suppose I send your husband up to see you.
I have no husband. It's not him. Not him.
I see.
The film also includes Sally's estrangement from her parents, time in a home for unwed mothers, and ultimately giving up her baby for adoption. The film presents adoption as a redemptive act, a way for Sally to regain moral understanding. But this narrative also reinforces a powerful message that motherhood outside marriage must be erased or corrected.
Oh well.
Now, going into the production background and censorship of the film, Ida Lupino, though uncredited, directed much of the film herself, as Elmer Clifton got extremely sick. As one of the few female filmmakers in 1940s Hollywood, Lupino pushed boundaries, not just behind the camera, but also in the stories she was choosing to tell in her films. Under the production code, films about unwed pregnancy had to show clear consequences and avoid any sympathy for the woman. In other words, audiences could understand Sally's suffering, but only if the film didn't condone her choices. The film even went as far as showing the labor room, which had never been done before on screen. Lupino's approach, suggestive but restrained, allowed her to tell a story that walked a fine line between condemnation and compassion. When Not Wanted was released, it was both praised and criticized. Some reviewers called it brave or timely, while others just questioned its appropriateness. What's striking is how often the conversation focused not just on the story, but on whether it was acceptable to tell such a story at all. In letters and articles, the film sparked debates about morality, motherhood, and responsibility. These reactions revealed a deep cultural unease around women's sexual agency and the role of adoption as a kind of moral reset. In many ways, the film upholds traditional values, but it also cracks them open. Sally is punished, yes, but she's also humanized. That is the tension that makes the film so ideologically rich.
What would you do if you were me?
Oh, I don't know, my dear. That's a decision no one can make for you.
I've been thinking and thinking. All the arguments on one side and all the arguments on the other. I only want to do what's right for him. What can I give him? Love and love. And that's about all. No money, no future, nothing.
Would you rather wait a little and decide later, dear?
No. It wouldn't be fair to him. I'll sign now.
You're certain?
Yes. I don't want him to grow up without a father. I don't want him to look at me and despise me.
Looking back, Not Wanted stood as a turning point. It came just before the slow decline of the production code, and it helped pave the way for more honest, complex stories about women's lives. Lupino continued to challenge norms in her later work. She often focused on issues that other directors avoided, such as rape and out-of-wedlock pregnancy. By placing Not Wanted in its historical and ideological context, we see not only the film's constraints, but its quiet acts of resistance. In doing so, it offers us a powerful glimpse in post-war America's struggle to define womanhood, morality, and the limits of what could be shown on screen.
Would you take those plates and pull that dress up?
Oh, Ma, don't be silly. I was only trying it.
Pull it up and keep it up. It's disgusting. I'm not going to have you running around half-dressed. Heard anything?
Now, going back to the code, I think it's important to note that the topic of premarital sex also could not be just outright stated without punishment or moral combination happening.
Forgetting something, Sally. We were two people who knew what we were doing, remember? I never gave you any phony ideas about getting married and growing old together. That's something you got into your head. If I've hurt you, Sally, I'm sorry, but I've never lied to you. Now get that straight.
Also, in fact, the code explicitly warned against sympathy for sin, meaning that if a character engaged in socially unacceptable behavior for that time, the film had to make it clear that she was wrong or faced censorship. So for unwed mothers like Sally, this meant that she had to suffer to be part of her story.
Do you wish to tell me the name of the father and his whereabouts? Perhaps we could communicate with him.
I don't know where he is. He went away. I haven't heard from him since.
I see. Well, tell me, my dear, have you decided whether you want to keep your baby after it's born?
Even though Not Wanted was made in 1949, its story still connects today. Unplanned pregnancy is more common in movies now, but the way we talk about women's bodies, choices, and morality is still a big issue in both media and politics. Movies like Juno or Gilmore Girls show how a young woman deals with unplanned pregnancy, but often these stories show shame, guilt, or the idea that motherhood is the only solution. These patterns started a long time ago, and many are here still with us. Ida Lupino was ahead of her time. By telling this story when no one else could, she helped make space for women to direct and write about real issues. Today, more women are behind the camera, but they're still pushing against many of the same limits. Looking back at Not Wanted, it isn't just about history. It helps us understand how stories about women, sex, and motherhood are shaped by culture, power, and who gets to tell them. The film's quiet resistance still speaks to issues we are dealing with now.